Doing his thing, man. He's invading.
I'm his president. You came from a different way this time.
Yeah,
What happened on Air Force One? I didn't see this.
a little bit different. We have some good people. We have Senator Lindsey Graham.
Hello,
We have
everybody.
Howard Lutnick, Commerce. We have Steve Miller. We have a lot of people.
Very rich man right here.
We have Aaron. We have a lot of people. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi.
Have you spoken with any of the U.S. service members who were injured during that operation in Venezuela?
Yes, we have calls into them. I want to speak. They're all in good shape.
Can
So we
you
have-
detail what watching that was like when all of this played out in Venezuela and what Maduro was doing that moment?
Well, I
with
knew the
US
possible
forces?
danger. I mean, it was a very dangerous operation. It was amazing that we had a few injured, but all are in good shape right now. But I knew there was great danger. You got off a helicopter. The helicopters were being shot at. They got on the ground. They're amazing talent and tremendous patriotism, bravery. The bravery was incredible. Lindsay, they got off the helicopter and the bullets were flying all over the place. As you know, one of the helicopters got hit.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that when they got off the helicopters, there was a firefight. I thought it was just a clean execution. They just got in, got out, got Maduro, and kept it moving.
Pretty badly, but that we got everything back. Got everything back, and nobody killed.
The next question is who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have you spoken to
We're in charge, bitch.
the newly sworn in president there, Rodriguez? And
Who
what
the fuck do you think is in charge? Who the fuck do you think is in charge? We just went in and we finessed their president, and we put him in a YN Nike Tech. We're in charge, clearly.
are your thoughts on the entire situation when you said the U.S. would run Venezuela?
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people.
We're putting a puppet in place. That's all that's happening. We're throwing a puppet in place. We're going to be pulling all of the strings. It's going to be our operation in Venezuela. We now own that place.
Just got sworn in, and don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
That means we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
What did I say, woman?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want
have.
to?
Yeah, at the right time, I will.
Did the U.S. give Delcy Rodriguez any guarantees in exchange for cooperating
No,
with your
no,
administration?
but she's cooperating.
Are you going to demand free and fair elections in the short term in Venezuela?
Well, it depends. What you're talking. We have to do one thing in Venezuela: bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been if I had lost the election. We would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids.
I think he's honestly right. I'm really glad that we didn't have Kamala run as president. I don't think she would have done anything good. I think it would have just been a bunch of more racial politics getting thrown around, a bunch of bullshit. I don't think any of her policy would have been good for us. I don't think her leadership would have been good for us. I think the U.S. would look extremely weak. I can't imagine what it would have been like.
Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back.
And I honestly think people that voted for her, they lack just intuitive ability for whether or not something would actually be good or bad, or they care about social approval so much so that they're willing to make a bad decision as long as it makes them seem virtuous. I think we saw that all over the country with people that voted for Kamala. They always fit the same description. They're always these blue-haired people that are really in touch with there's so many genders and all of this bullshit just to make other people feel accepted and to make themselves feel more morally I don't know, just a
We
higher.
have to have big investments by the oil companies to bring back the infrastructure.
What's your
And the oil companies are ready to go. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the infrastructure. We built it.
And that's he's giving you a nice tagline. He's telling you go out and invest into oil companies because they're about to be building a bunch of infrastructure in Venezuela.
Start off with many years ago. They took it away.
The question is, who's going to be getting the government contracts? What oil tycoon is going to be building this infrastructure? What profit for the companies will it be increasing? I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I think ExxonMobil is maybe a great stock to invest in right now just because of this whole thing happening right here.
You can't do that. And you can't do that with me. They did it with other presidents.
How soon do you think an election can take place in Venezuela? How soon can an election take
Well, I think we're looking.
Again, woman, there is no election. It's that simple. We took the place over. Whether there's an election or not does not mean it's legitimate. Sure, we may have a play that is shown with actors to make the population feel more at ease with the fact that they have absolutely no control and they are poor peasants and they must do as we say. And again, when I say do as we say, I'm not even talking about myself, bro. I'm a poor peasant in the United States of America. There are oligarchs that are controlling this nation. I know that these politicians are puppets. No politician that's making 170K a year has any power compared to a multi-billionaire. Let's get real.
More at getting it fixed,
If you're making $100,000 a year, you think you have any pull? You think you're able to pull any strings similar to what a multi-hundred billion billionaire can do? You're not even in the same league, bro. There is no chance that you have any say in anything. They will put assassination attempts on you. They will put people outside your windows. They will literally kidnap you, throw you in the back of a van, throw a fucking mask over your head. You'll wake up. There will be soldiers surrounding you with ARs. They'll say, this is the way this is really going to go, as you have a barrel to your face. That's what they'll really do. That's what, at the very pinnacle of control and politics, this is a blood sport. This is a blood sport, and the sport is dictated with money. That's what it comes down to, okay? So you as a politician getting into an office does not mean that you have any power. It just means they allowed it to happen. They allowed you to get elected. They could have easily had you killed. They knew that they wanted you in office. They spoke to you. They gave you the rundown, and then you got elected.
Get ready first, because it's a mess. The country is a mess. It's been hard.
Trump, he's a low-class billionaire. Trump is one of the few presidents that before he got elected, he was an oligarch. He was a billionaire. He was a huge name in New York real estate. So he's one of the guys that at least kind of knew how the operation was going a little bit. But he'll tell you, you know, when he first sat down in that car and he's driving through New York City and he's the president, bro, he definitely had a rundown from some very powerful people that said, look, this is the way this is going to go. You're going to listen to us. You're only going to be serving here for 4 years. You know, you are essentially an actor to the American people. And when we make decisions for our military, there's going to be 15 people with gray suits sitting in a room. You will be in the room. The room will be airtight. It will be soundproof. It will be signal proof. We'll go over our plans, our war plans. Your job is to sit there, listen to what we say, and then your job is to break this press to the American people.
Horribly run. The oil is just flowing at a very low level.
You guys can't be so naive to actually think that a person that only has a background in business is going to get in a room with the top levels of different military branches and dictate what they do. If you think that's the case, these war vetted men that have had bullets fly over them, that have carried out assaults, if you don't think that you will just be another CIA operation, if you do not listen, bro, you're not in touch with reality. You've been brainwashed by the media. You've been brainwashed to think that you actually live in a democratic system. You don't. Oligarchs do 100% control the world. Money is power.
Slower than, even if it was badly run, it should have more income, more oil than what they're doing. So we're going to have the big oil companies go in, and they're going to fix the infrastructure, and they're going to invest money. We're not going to invest.
See when he said, so we're going to have the big oil companies going in. He's not even talking about himself. He's not saying, so I'm going to have the big oil companies going in. No, this is people sitting in a dark room, signal-proof, soundproofed, and they're talking about invading, and Trump is just the press guy.
Anything. We're going to just take care of the country. We're going to cherish the country. We're going to take care, more importantly, of the people.
Now, I do think that presidents do definitely play a role more so in social culture, and they do have some control there. I do think they allow some some power in the presidency, so that the president doesn't just automatically rebel once he's elected and they just have to fucking fire him. They have to give him some type of realistic power so he still feels very important. But and they may talk nice to the guy, but when they are in the board meetings with Trump, he knows that they are the professionals. And this is just common sense. I'm not saying it to be, a conspiracy theorist, but why would you not? They are the doctors, they are the PhDs of the people that are actually going to handle these operations. And as the president, you should be listening to these people. You shouldn't be just trying to form up your own fucking plans to invade countries and do shit. No, you're listening to the professionals that have been serving and they've been lifers in the military. That's the exact way that should go. It shouldn't be like a crazy idea to anybody.
People, including Venezuelans that are living in our country, that were forced to leave their country. And they're going to be taken very good care of. Yes,
Have you
ma'am.
spoken with the oil companies about
Yes.
going into Venezuela?
I have.
Which ones?
Have you received any commitments?
All of them, basically.
Any commitments from the oil companies?
They want to go in so badly.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Of course they do. They're going to be printing money. It's liquid gold. Of course they do.
Did you maybe tip them off about what was
Before and after. And they want to go in.
The question is, will the people of Venezuela, be smart enough to understand that what's in their best interest isn't in the United States of America's best interest? And if they do, this is going to turn into another Iraq situation. This is not going to be the U.S. just gets to have this shadow government and we get to just finesse their people, But it's going to take a very, very, very strong leadership to be able to fight back against the U.S. over in Venezuela. We're going to need people that aren't switched. They're not turned. They're going to be people that are actually going to have some balls, some dignity, and they're going to say, "Know what, the U.S." You're not going to just come over here and abuse your power. You're not going to just take our oil. This was our land's oil. This was our people's oil. You're not going to dictate the policy what happens to our oil. You need enough of those men to stand up. And frankly, I don't think that country has the firepower to do it, nor do I think they're dumb enough to try to step in and do that. I think at this point they're just happy that Trump liberated them because they were being so oppressed by that dictator from the beginning that they're just going to allow the U.S. to pretty much come in and do whatever they want as a thank you. They're
going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going to represent us well.
What happens
But
to
the
this?
infrastructure is rusty, rotten, most of it unusable. It's old, it's broken. You see pipes laying all over the ground. Nothing's been invested for years. Chevron's in, as you know, they've done a good job, but even they haven't been in a position to invest money because they're.
And this is why I like Trump. I don't want to say I like Trump. I like the ideas of Trump because he'll sit there and he'll give you an A to Z list on why it's good for us to put the infrastructure in. The pipes are rusty. They're not properly actually extracting it. They're letting their people pretty much go to the fucking wayside because they're not focusing on the things that actually need to be built up. Bro, we see this in so many countries. So many countries, like if you look at Africa, have so much of these natural resources. And because the politicians are corrupt and they don't tap them properly, the population doesn't get to have the reward of them. And Venezuela is the same way. The population has this liquid gold under their feet, but the government wasn't tapping into that liquid gold. If I was the president over there, I would have been like, guys, we have liquid gold under our feet. We know other countries have already surveyed our land. They know it too. This isn't secret. We need to tap this shit as fast as possible. We need to get some really good international relations going as fast as possible. We need some treaties signed as fast as possible. We need protection. Who are the big players? Russia, China. We need to sign a contract with you as fast as possible. We need to have protection for our people, for our oil. And the only way for Venezuela to do that without their military being built up with nuclear capability is to get protection from these different country mafias. And you know what? Honestly, after we saw what happened with Russia going into Ukraine, after China and Taiwan, the U.S. was like, fuck it. 4D chess, we can go in there, we can scoop a president up, we can liberate the people, and we can take the oil. And China, they can't say shit about us, they'd be hypocrites. Russia, they can't say shit about us, they'd be hypocrites. So that's exactly what we did.
They're at a month-to-month basis.
What happens to the
They're only there
17
because I wanted them to be there.
Yeah, are there any contingencies in case the military in Venezuela is unhappy with the U.S. and the way it's running?
That's a good question. That's what we're all wondering. How unhappy is the military in Venezuela? And will they comply? Will they be complicit with our shadow government? Or will this be Iraq 2.0?
Venezuela, do you guys have plans for anything?
So Venezuela thus far has been very nice,
There's your answer.
but it helps to have a force like we have. You know, we were ready for a second wave. We were all set to go.
Bro, who wouldn't have been expecting the Venezuelan government to attack? We just took your president, and you're going to sit there and you're not going to do a damn thing? You're not even trying to attack our country? You're not trying to attack our military? This guy must have been so resoundingly hated that they're like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. They're so happy to see him gone that they don't even want to go out and revenge their leadership. And that's why it's so important to have your leadership and your people on the same side. And that's why once we do have these elections and once we do have these presidents come into office, we voted for these presidents. We voted for Trump. Meaning once he becomes president, you got to be on Team Trump because your people, even though you didn't vote for him, your people voted for him and you're part of this country. And our country is better when we're all on the same page. We can't have fucking sore losers in the country that are going to be not rebelling if another country comes and takes our president. We need to all be on the same page because right now, if Trump got taken, we might have a fucking civil war because some of us are going to pick up guns and be like, no, that's our fucking president. We're going to go get him back. Let's get on the fucking boats. And then you're going to have these Democrat pussies being like, oh, he was a dictator president. He was Hitler 2.0. Bro, if that's how you're feeling after Trump got elected, get the fuck out the country.
We don't think we're going to need it.
There's about 17 billion.
We are one of the few countries that actually has very, very, very regulated elections. So I'm not saying this based on another country's system. Our system is good. Our system is about as fair as it gets right now. So when a president actually gets elected in our country, it's because our people voted for them. So if you are on the losing side, you need to fucking swallow that pill and you need to assimilate. You need to fucking assimilate with our country and actually fight for what we believe in. Because the United States is made up of people that voted for this guy. You got to understand that. And if all you do is hate on this guy, at this point, you're just hating on the United States of America and you don't belong here. Because, yeah, if Kamala got elected, I would be fucking a little pissed. I'd be like, I don't think this chick's going to do a good job. But it is not going to help the country for me to hate this chick while she's in office. I'd be doing everything I can to support her. And if they did come and take Kamala, I'd be on that fucking boat strapped up with an AR ready to go get that chick back.
Billion worth of oil reserves in Venezuela.
More.
Is that going to be?
You mean trillion?
And is that going to be
Did you
something?
say billion or trillion?
I said billion.
You said 17 billion? It's much more than that.
Okay, so what is going to
Much
happen to
more.
those reserves?
Well, we're going to run everything. We're going to run it, fix it.
People don't like this idea of running another country's government. Bro, we've had shadow governments for so long. This is the first time that we're putting a shadow government in place and we're just fucking admitting it. We're like, bro, we're just running that shit. And so many Democrats, or just so many people that are naive, have been calling people like myself who could see these shadow governments in place. They called us conspiracy theories. We used to say shadow governments all the time. We used to say, oh, that's just a shadow government. But now that we actually have a mainstream shadow government, It's kind of like proving these little dumbasses that didn't think that existed wrong, which I like. I like because I think it sheds a light on how the world actually works versus what you want it to work. It's not ideal. I get it. It's not rainbows and fucking sunshine and butterflies and shit. But politics is a blood sport. All right? Shadow governments do exist. You think we just let people operate how they want to operate because they have a fucking imaginary line around their fucking stupid ass tribe that has no military capability, but they have a bunch of fucking resources under their feet? No. We go over there, we put the AR to their face, and we say, look, this is how your policy is going to go. And guess what? It's not going to benefit you very much, but it's going to benefit us a whole lot. And if you have a problem with that, you got to do something about it. This is imperialism 2.0.
Have elections at the right time. The main thing you have to face, it's a broken country. There's no money. There's inflation. Like we would have had, if I didn't win this election, we would have been Venezuela on steroids. Lindsay would know that. You might.
So many poor people, they don't even know what happened to the currency over in Venezuela, how it got inflated, how they literally turned to a fucking impoverished country from being one of the most rich countries. And they still had all this liquid gold under their feet, so they could make a turnaround. But they had terrible leadership, and now that the U.S. has control of it over it, we can actually do stuff as a shadow government that's going to be good for their people, good for our people, and basically we just expanded the U.S., bro. That's really what it is. Like, we're gonna put military bases all around that bitch. All right, this is not going to be the same Venezuela. We are going to change it from the inside out. You can call it Venezuela, or you can just call it Amerizuela. It's American Venezuela.
Say something.
It's another state at this point.
Before, we would have had
Whether they say it is or they
doubling
don't,
up of
it's
very
another
bad
fucking state
things,
at this point.
things
We can
that
pretty much
cost us
control
a lot of
anything that
money,
we
like
want to happen
welfare,
over there.
Frankly, we wouldn't have had jobs, and instead of having $18 trillion in, we would have had at least $5 to $10 trillion leaving the country. So our costs would have gone up, and all of the money that's, we're setting a record, and it's long broken. And that's it. That's after 10 months. We haven't included the 11th month yet. So we think we're going to hit over $20 trillion. The all-time record is 3 by another country known as China. About 10 years ago, they did 3. We're doing.
What did he say? What did he say? Are we talking about tariff revenue? What are we talking about? My bad.
And all of the money that's, we're setting a record. It's long broken. Of very bad things that cost us a lot of money, like welfare, frankly. We wouldn't have had jobs, and instead of having $18 trillion in, we would have had at least $5 to $10 trillion leaving the country. So our costs would have gone up, and all of the money that's, we're setting a record. It's long broken, and that's it. That's after 10 months. We haven't included the 11th month yet. So we think we're going to hit over $20 trillion. The all-time record is 3 by another country known as China. About 10 years ago, they did 3. We're going to do close to 20 trillion. By the way, there has never been anything like this ever before.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't fucking know. With these tariffs, I haven't seen the price of goods go up, like, drastically. Maybe you guys have, but I haven't. So it doesn't seem like the consumer is eating the price of these tariffs. It seems like the other countries are competing to still get their products over in the best country in the world with the richest consumers. So they're doing everything that they can do to stay competitive and eat those costs. And we're just getting the benefits of the tariffs.
And it's all because.
And when I say that, I mean they're lowering their prices when we go and import things over to here. Because the thing is, if Trump put the tariff over in China, we can't import things over from there at the same price, then we might look at Turkey. But China might be like, wait, we can lower our margins a little bit and then still continue getting the imports. Let's do that. So I think you might be seeing things like that happen. And then that's where we're, still generating the money from the tariffs.
Of tariffs and the election. but it's because of tariffs.
Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's just my take on it.
There was a time.
Because I haven't seen the price of goods increase over here. And, you know, I've talked to so many people, and, you know, the price of gas is actually down a whole fuck ton. And in grocery stores, the price is down. And when petroleum, when the price of that is down, you know, the whole economy is going to be doing better, because the price to move the good to, like, from stores with these semi trucks, they're going to be paying less for diesel. The cost of transportation is going to be lower, which means that they can price the goods lower and still make up. It's this whole thing with oil and us getting a lot from Venezuela seems really, really, really good.
Without tariffs, we wouldn't have 10 cents being invested.
There was a time back in 2016, I remember your RNC speech, and you were saying that regime change and nation building.
Where?
When you were speaking at the RNC back in 2016,
Go ahead, what did I say?
you were criticizing regime change and nation building, the U.S. being involved in that.
And let's be clear, you know, this chick right here, she's a paid actor, bro. You think she's on the plane with the United States of America's president just asking questions? It's all bro, it's a big stage. All these people are here. You know, I'm sure that Trump may have actually been, and they'll say the freedom of press shit. Yeah, okay. I bet you he knows all the questions that she's gonna ask. They're all standing there with mics because he knows all of the fucking CEOs of the media companies, and they're just printing this bullshit. They're just printing this bullshit to the American people, trying to get a narrative straight, because if they don't have control of the narrative, and then they can't control the people and their reactions to it.
It seems obviously that your stance has changed on that. What led to that? And is the U.S. nation building now? Is that?
This isn't a country that's on the other side of the world. This isn't a country like we have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area. The Don Road Doctrine.
So is that what you would say, that we're in the business of nation building now?
We're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out, because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor, and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not.
See, this is what military might gets you. It gets you the capability to go out and control other countries that don't have the same military might. But we have jets that can refuel in air, that can travel farther, that can send missiles faster, and we have battleships that can go all across the world that are nuclear powered or whatever. You don't think that we're going to go over and start fucking cleaning the world up as these military items improve? Of course we are. Of course.
Going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean?
You're not going to get to stay third world forever. At some point, if your society, the civilization that your government has created, is just not improving, no matter how many years go on, while we're out here in fucking flying cars, at what point do we just say, you know what, you guys aren't doing your thing, we're just going to come over there and take over? At what point do you think that happens? Humans are built, humans are just built with that intrinsically. Intrinsically, they're built with that feeling to go out and do that. If they just see you're not improving, you have all these resources under your feet, you know, honestly, you should feel lucky that people don't get eradicated. Just nukes don't get dropped and they just don't take the land. Because the problem is, when you get superpowers and they're all on the same page, bro, there can be serious change. And again, genocide is happening all over the world. This is not anything new. Genocide is nothing new. Look at Hitler with the Jews. I am not speaking on something that hasn't actually happened. I am saying, if at a certain point, if every piece of the world is doing really, really, really good in just terms of innovation, and another piece of the world isn't, those pieces of the world that can just come over and just change everything and take over all the land and take over that piece of the world, they might do it. That's all I'm saying. And we seeing it with Europe coming over to the America with the fucking guns. Happened to the Native American people. Bro, that was not that long ago. That really wasn't that long ago. And if you don't think history repeats itself, you're naive and you're soft and you're dumb. You know, you're probably looking at me like, what is Nick talking about? He's talking about some crazy shit. He's talking about people are just going to show up and steal people's land if they don't innovate fast enough. Well, duh, dipshit. What the fuck do you think has happened throughout the history of all of these nations?
Very long.
He's not doing it very long.
It's a natural human process, unfortunately.
He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very
So there will
long.
be an operation by the U.S. and
It sounds good to me.
Secretary
Yeah.
Rubio mentioned
You know why?
Cuba
Because they
yesterday.
kill a lot of people. Yeah.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do something?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. You know, a lot of Cubans were.
So, bro just foreshadowed he's going to be, you know, implementing some regime change in Cuba as well, essentially. He just said, you know, the whole reason Cuba was afloat and not just completely bankrupt was because of me. And I now control the only reason why that country is not bankrupt.
Killed
Or was it because of Venezuela?
yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side, but there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, trying to protect him.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United
Can I
States.
just
That-
add something? So when he first got elected in January, we met, you know.
Again, like, yeah, all human life has value, but when Trump says this shit about fucking Cuba, everyone at home doesn't bat an eye because we know they're just not a threat. Now, if you were saying this shit about China, about Russia, another place with actual capability, we'd be like, oh shit. But that's what I mean. It's just natural for humans to be like, oh, okay, Cuba. They haven't been fucking progressing. But now, if he would have said that about a nation that has been progressing, we'd be like, what, China? You know, the place with actual capabilities that can actually harm us and do stuff to us? It's like, humans don't give the same humane value to these countries because they're not actually militarily capable. And it's not even just about, you know, they have a show of force that they can actually put. It's just they're not they're not really progressing in terms of like science and tech and everything like that.
Biggest comeback ever. We talked about
You
like
think so, really? I didn't feel it was a comeback, actually.
so.
It wasn't a comeback, bro. Trump's been actually doing very well on the main stage for a long time. You know, during his first presidency, he had it rough. You know, the Democrats, they did convince, even myself, they convinced pretty much everyone that he was racist. I was really young when that happened. And my whole family is full of Democrats. They all hated Trump. They would all say he's, you know, just completely racist, you know, towards everyone. And, dude, that's the furthest from the truth. Trump doesn't have hate in his heart for any of these other races, from what it seems to me, based on how he portrays ideas and how he goes about his policy. You know, we don't have black people in shackles. We don't have, you know, we're not trying to do he's not trying to do anything racist. So I don't know what they're really fucking talking about, but
The first
they're
one
bad,
was
so.
The bottom line is, we talked about a drug caliphate in our backyard. You know, we had Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these three countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. Joe Biden put a $25 billion bounty on Maduro's head. Chris Smith, today he got inaugurated, said, I hope Trump will hold Maduro's feet to the fire. You did. So what has he done? He's going to clear our backyard of a drug caliphate, countries run by narco-terrorist dictators who murder.
So again, all of this can be true. Everything that this guy is saying can be true. But these are also just the selling points to the American people. Because if he was just out there saying on an international stage, the only reason that we did this was for oil and for money and for gain, there would just be so much backlash associated with it.
Rape, send drugs into our country to kill
So he's just virtue signaling, bro.
thousands of our citizens. To my Democratic
But at least it's backed by actually like logical things instead of virtue signaling some fucking gender studies or some garbage.
friends, you should be celebrating this. When bin Laden went down, I was the first to applaud President Obama. This was one of the most sophisticated military operations in the history of the country. What they were able to do was amazing. They knew we were coming. We had a good part of the Navy, and they were able to capture this man alive. No military in the world could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns.
And all of the people in Cuba also hate their leadership too. So it's like another 4D chess move. Like if we go over there, liberate them, and we get to control their policy, it's just a win-win-win. And I really think that's the direction we're heading in.
They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered.
But this is the only sale. This is the only way you can sell imperialism to the public and for them to be okay with it. There's no other way to do it nowadays on an international stage. The way that he's doing it is very controversial, and it's like you're going to have people that say, you know what, you're kind of right. Maybe he is a bad... Oh, no shit, he's a bad guy. But what are your real
We're
intentions
going to wake up
here?
one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Do you think you're going to...
By the way,
And that was an amazing thing that Trump did. Let's not take it away. He definitely did something that was historic, that will go down in the history books for being one of the best plays to have ever been done in the United States of America's history.
you know, you mentioned something that's interesting. Lindsay mentioned bin Laden. You know, I wrote about bin Laden 1 year before the attack on the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to go after bin Laden. It was in my book. And
Damn, bro. So Trump is saying if he was in office, all those people that died in the Twin Towers, that would have never happened. He would have had it handled by then.
very few people want to say,
Believe it or not, I think he actually could be right about this. Bro, if he goes in, if there is evidence that if you go to his book and you can flip to it and he's like, bin Laden's a bad guy, we got to capture this guy before he does something bad, and then he does something bad, common sense would tell you this guy would have done something. But you're going to have Trump haters that hate him so much that they can't actually just listen to the idea that he's propagating, and they're just going to automatically shut it down like, oh, this guy's a retard, he just says whatever he can to be, you know, sounding cool or sounding smart or getting the population on his side. Well, what happens if he actually did put that in his book?
that, but it was in my book. You know that. I think you've actually talked about it. But if they would have listened to me, they would have taken out bin Laden, and you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center tragedy.
Yeah, this is certainly going.
Did you know that? I predicted bin Laden.
I learn something every day.
No, but did you hear that?
Well,
Did
I
you
didn't know. I just heard it right
No,
now.
I wrote a book. It was 1 year before the attack that the book came out, and it talked about, there's a whole page, a whole section dedicated to a guy named bin Laden who's a bad guy who you have to take out.
So I'll get the book. But right after the election, he told me, I'm going to clean up our backyard. Now, this was before he took office. This is one of the president's priorities, is to make sure that people in our backyard, narco-terrorist states, will not continue.
And so many people are going to cry about what Trump just said. They're just going to cry. They're going to say, oh, he's grifting. Oh, he's making shit up. Bro, just go get his book see what it was fucking dated to, and then stop bitching. Just stop bitching because you don't like the guy. He had an idea. It was right. He called it out. He speculated that bin Laden was bad. He would have gone after him. He would have stopped the World Trade Centers from collapsing. You have a problem with that because you've never done anything heroic in your life. You've never had an idea that would have actually changed something. That's all it is, bro. People just hate ideas, people just hate people so much that they can't actually listen to their ideas.
You to kill Americans without the number of people that will be alive today because Venezuela will be in different hands is going to be tens of thousands. This is something to be celebrated, whether you like him or not.
Not just Venezuela. It's what's coming out of Venezuela in the form of ocean-going and Gulf-going and sea-going boats. Every time we knock out a boat, and we've done a lot of them, we did 3 over the last few days. They're very rare now. You don't see too many of them.
Hard to recruit.
But drugs by sea are down 97%. Think of that. And now we're going to stop them by land too. The land is easy. We had to do this.
That's good. That's good. You can't argue that that's good. And if you go pull up a chart of overdoses, you see as soon as Trump got elected, death by overdose dramatically declined because Trump is harder on drug dealers and he's harder on drug traffickers. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
See, before we did the land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like
And by the way, you have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico.
Everyone knows Mexico is terrible. They just can't get control of their country. They can't get control of their people. I don't know what it is over there. They're just fucking shooting people over drugs and shit. It's like, guys, can we just have a little bit of a moral value underlying what our country represents? Can we just respect each other? Can we not have so much gang violence? Why do we just need to have these shootings? Why? Just why? And the cartel will kill their own politicians. They'll kill their own politicians.
Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. We'd love Mexico to do it. They're capable of doing it, but unfortunately the cartels are very strong in Mexico.
I remember one time you actually, speaking of Mexico, I asked you about Claudia Sheinbaum, and you told me at one point you had offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to combat.
The government in Mexico needs to understand that politics is a blood sport. They need to recruit more for their military, and they need to go out and kill the cartel members. They need to just focus on that. That needs to be their main focus for whatever politician gets elected. Right now, the government in Mexico is like the cartel, right? But it's really, really, really not, but it is, right? They're not focused. The cartel isn't focused on making policy better for the people. The cartel isn't focused on the people at all. All it's focused on is enriching its leaders, oppressing its people, right? We need a government that's for enriching its people and oppressing its leaders. The role in government is supposed to be a sacrificial role. And when you flip that around, government turns to cartel. And that's exactly what we're seeing over in Mexico.
Drug trafficking there.
Selfish people, selfish individuals.
I think she's a terrific
That's what we
person.
have everywhere, but at least over in the U.S., our leaders have somewhat of a brain and can say, you know what, yeah, we're going to be selfish and we're going to enrich ourselves, but at least we're not going to be oppressing our people to the point that they absolutely hate us, cannot stand us, and we're just going to be burning in hell forever.
I would say every single time I talk to her, I offered to send troops.
And she's just not willing?
She's concerned. She's a little afraid. The cartels are running Mexico, whether you like it or not.
She has to run to Daddy Trump, bro. If she was smart, she would accept the U.S.'s help, but the U.S. isn't going to help for free. But she would have to take a plane over, get into U.S. protection, and then say, Trump, send over all of the military, whatever you can. Let's clean this place up.
It's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico.
And speaking of those U.S. troops,
But the U.S. doesn't really care. We don't care if our neighbors are weak. And we understand if we do help them implement a good government that comes with international policy, it comes with them making treaties with other countries. Effectively, Mexico is just some garbage that's next to us that we don't really care about, right? And if Mexico became a superpower that would be worse for the U.S. We wouldn't want Mexico to be a superpower that's right on our fucking border. We'd rather keep them weak. We'd rather them not be able to be in a position where they could harm us. And them running around like it's the fucking wild, wild west in the 1800s with some fucking AKs and horses and shit. Sure, it sucks to be over there, but we'd rather them be like that than Russia 2.0 on our fucking border. And that's exactly why the U.S. doesn't actually want to help them. And that's probably why the U.S. probably does stuff to actually keep them as weak as possible. And if Mexico was smart, they would say, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat them, join them. We're never going to be, unless the U.S. absolutely gets obliterated by another superpower, we're never going to be able to uprise because our proximity is too close to the U.S. So they should just join the U.S. They should just give their country to the U.S., the leadership, everybody over there. And maybe I think that would be better.
I think that Americans and a lot of people are wondering.
And I say the same thing about Canada. We don't want Canada getting too strong either. We don't want anyone that's really close to us being too strong, unless they're actually going to be abiding by our rules.
You just sounded like you weighed out another strike, another land strike at least in Venezuela. You sound like you weighed that out. But
Well, we didn't need it.
but-
We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed. We're totally prepared.
But that's
And
off
we're
the table.
still prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
Will you demand
The
that
question
Venezuela-
is,
If they don't behave, see, even the way we talk about these countries like they're some fucking toddlers. If they don't behave after we just finesse their president, we're gonna do a second strike. Just tells you everything you need to know. We don't take these people seriously.
the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
Depends. It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that
She
frankly,
called it...
well, you know, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have...
That's true. She's gonna get in front of the press and she's gonna yammer her mouth away. Again, put her in a room with a fucking AR. You're gonna hear a different person talk. You're gonna hear a different person. She's gonna be a hell of a lot more complicit when she knows there's a red dot on her head, right? That's the reality of these blood politics, bro.
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
Now, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're gonna have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad. It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to reopen its embassy in Caracas or get the DEA?
We're thinking about it. We've been asked to do it.
You had...
We've actually been asked to do it.
Do you think the
You had Putin and on the phone, of course, and then Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
You told me that
Numerous times.
You told me that your New Year's resolution was peace on Earth. Do you think that 2026, if you could set a deadline of when the Russia-Ukraine
I don't
war...
do deadlines, but I would say that, like as an example, Thailand and Cambodia.
Well,
I was very proud of that. Wait a
minute.
minute. And they started up again and they got it solved.
Where does it
I give
actually
myself 1/4 of a point for that. So now I'm 8 1/4 points because they started up Thailand and Cambodia and now it's okay.
So where does it actually stand between Russia
I think
and
we'll have a
Ukraine
deal
right